Live from Monterey on California's beautiful Central Coast, this is the Ringside Boxing Show. I'm Dennis Taylor, welcoming you to join me and my expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwaan Zahid, and John J. Raspanti, today and every week for the hottest, sweatiest show on the West Coast. And now, from Studio 1A, it's the Ringside Boxing Show.
Welcome to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor, and as usual, we got a great show straight ahead for you guys today. During the second half of today's podcast, John Raspanti and I are going to be talking to Brian McIntyre, BoMac, head trainer of undefeated three-division world champion Terence "Bud" Crawford, and also recently crowned WBO junior lightweight champion Jamel Herring. BoMac grew up in the same North Omaha war zone where he opened a boxing gym in 2013 to try and make a positive impact on a neighborhood that's racked with drugs and guns and addicts and drunks and extreme poverty. We're going to talk to him about all of that, and we're also going to hear some stuff about Bud Crawford that you probably have never heard before. This is a good one, so hang around for BoMac. That's coming up. Our British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin, had some technical problems today, so we're not going to hear from him about the UK boxing scene, but right now we're going to take a look at the week in boxing with our expert analysts. Travis Hartman is a professional boxer, trainer, and promoter from Osborne, Missouri. He's now living and training in Orlando, Florida. Rizwaan Zahid is a boxing journalist from Toronto. John J. Raspanti's chief lead writer for MaxBoxing.com and DogHouseBoxing.com, and John and I are co-authors of Intimate Warfare, The True Story of the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward Boxing Trilogy, an Amazon bestseller. And John and Rizwaan are with us today, and Travis may be popping up any minute. We're hoping so anyway. So, John, you found a video on YouTube this week about that showed Teofimo Lopez getting decked hard in sparring. Everybody found that interesting, but the boxing world has a code that probably dates back to John L. Sullivan days. What happens in the gym stays in the gym, and Travis, our professional boxer, had something to say about whoever leaked that video. And I wish Travis was here to address that right now, but he had an interesting story that I wanted to get him to tell today. When he trained with Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, he took out his iPhone and he was videotaping Arturo in sparring, and Arturo noticed and stopped, and he came walking over to Travis, and Travis's heart was pounding, and Arturo stepped out of the ring and sat down next to him, and he said, "Let me see it." And Travis showed him the video, and Arturo really liked what he saw and was all friendly about it. But, man, boxers are touchy about that stuff, John. And I wonder how Teofimo reacted to having that, having somebody leak that video. But at the same time, man, it was interesting to the rest of us because this kind of showed a vulnerability that we hadn't seen before about Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, and Travis was right. You know, when you were telling the story about him, it reminded me of years ago when I first interviewed Andre Ward over in Oakland at King's Gym, and he was getting ready to fight Kessler, as we know, and I got done, and Andre was sparring, and Virgil Hunter was working with him, and I had my camera, and I was going to take some pictures, and I was thinking about video, and suddenly I'm looking around everything, and I'm focusing on Andre a little bit, and Virgil Hunter is in the corner leaning over the ropes, talking very softly like he always does, and suddenly I hear this booming voice. He's not talking any softly, and he directs his voice right at me, and he goes, "No pictures or no video." I mean, and it startled me, you know.
Yeah.
It was like I literally jumped, and I put my hands up like peace. It's okay. I'm not doing anything. I'm just looking around, and I said, I'm not taking any pictures. I'm just looking at things. And he goes, okay, well, yeah, we don't want any of that. We don't want any of that to get out there. And see, this is exactly what happened, right? Is that Lopez got decked in sparring. And you're right. You know, I think what surprised me the most was we had not seen him in that position, and he got decked hard. And he came in. If you saw anybody saw the video, he came in.
I did, yeah.
His left was low, his right was low. I mean, he was fighting very cocky. In other words, he just ran right into the punch, And the guy who decked him 14-0 with 10 knockouts, it's not like he's some guy that just walked in off the street, which maybe helps a little, but I would think that whoever sees that, another opponent or somebody, future opponent, whoever is going to go, I gotta think about that. I gotta think, well, if that's a flaw in his technique, then that's something that I can take advantage of. So yeah, I was surprised when I saw it, surprised at the result. They also have another part of the sparring session on YouTube where Lopez does much better after that knockdown. I don't know exactly when that occurred, but I think before that. And the guy's fighting, gets frustrated, flips him over at the end, and the camera went off right then. So it was a pretty intense sparring session, which isn't a surprise. If you guys have ever gone to any, I've gone to quite a few of them. Guys get angry, annoyed, they start talking, and things start happening. And usually the trainer will say, hey, but there was a lot of comments going on, but nobody was really saying, hey, stop it. So, yeah, that was very interesting, and I understand that code, because when you're sparring, and this, again, I wish Travis was here to talk about this, explain it even better. It's supposed to be you're working on things and doing things, and Teofimo might have just been working on a few things, and he got a little reckless, and he got caught, and he didn't really mean anything. But, see, it's like when Tyson got knocked down against Buster Douglas. That time it actually, before he fought Buster Douglas, that time it actually did mean something, because Tyson was barely training, and we know what happened when he fought Douglas. It was kind of a warning signal of possibly something on the way, something could happen. I remember there were rumors that Chad Dawson got knocked out before he fought Andre Ward, and then we heard about Anthony Joshua, remember, before his fight with Ruiz. So it's a mixed bag. I understand it, and it really should stay in the gym. But nowadays, with everybody's got a camera, everybody's got a phone, and they could secretly be filming. It's kind of hard sometimes to keep it that way. But who knows? Maybe it's reverse psychology. Teofimo and his dad. It's like, okay, let these guys think that I'm vulnerable. We'll see. So I doubt that, but it causes a lot of. It causes chatter, and that it was one of those things you don't see very often. But it certainly was intriguing.
Yeah, the iPhone age has changed everything. I was talking to a minor league baseball player, a former minor league baseball player, a couple of weeks ago for an article, and one of the things he was telling me, he was a pitcher, and he said, what they want from you is to go out and work on stuff during a game that you're not very good at, and then when you get hammered, you come off the field and they all look at you like, what the hell is the matter with you? What's going wrong? And you're learning a change up out there that you've never thrown in your life, and people are hitting it over the fence or off the walls, and then you come off the field and you're worried about whether you're going to get sent down to the next level or something like that, because your ERA has gone up to 6. But that kind of reminds me of sparring. You're in there working, like you said, you're working on things that you cannot that you're not very good at, or that you're trying to improve, and then something like this happens, so you walk into a punch. But man, you look at that video, and you're right, man. He had his hands down. He was cocky. He was coming straight in, and he just got hit with a straight punch right on the chin, and went down like a sack of potatoes. And he got up in a hurry, it looks like, but he wasn't really hurt. But man, oh man, we've both been in the gym when guys get knocked down, and they are embarrassed. They're not happy to have a member of the media there, or God knows how they feel when something like this gets leaked. So, Riz, you posted something interesting this week too. The list of potential opponents for Canelo Alvarez right now is long and impressive, and you observed that he's effectively tying up 4 weight divisions right now. People who have been lobbying for a shot at him over the past few weeks are Errol Spence, Golovkin, of course, Jermall Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, Jaime Munguia, Callum Smith, Jermall Charlo, and Sergey Kovalev, and I'm probably forgetting a couple. But that goes from welterweight to light heavyweight. They're all waiting on Canelo to make up his mind about who gets the September fight and who fights Canelo after that. So have you ever seen anything like this in boxing? 4 weight divisions hung up by one guy?
I mean, we've seen other guys kind of hopeful to get a big fight with Pacquiao and Mayweather, so we've seen numerous fighters kind of wait, but a lot of those, I think we already knew what the answer was for a lot of those fights. I mean, when Mayweather was with, when Mayweather was kind of going on his own and the whole build-up and the long waiting for the Pacquiao fight, we knew he was not going to fight a top-ranked guy, right? So that excluded a lot of opponents right there. What's different in this case is we're talking about divisions, and we're not talking about, B-level fighters in any of those divisions either. We're talking about arguably either the top fighter in that division or arguably top 2 to 3 at most, right? Mm-hmm. So those guys are, I mean, it's not like it's a big step down for them to either fight Canelo or fight someone completely different, right? Especially when Kovalev, for example, already has a fight booked, right? It got delayed, but at this point, it still looks like he's going to fight Yarde at the end of August in Russia, right? That's what they've been waiting on. So he's just wondering, okay, well, if Canelo's there, fine, I'll fight him, but can you make up your mind at some point? And, guys like Andre, he just fought, so for him, it's not, he said he's willing to fight in September, but, I mean, the chances for him to get that fight is less secure. The funny thing is, I find it actually hilarious that Golovkin hasn't really said much at all, right? I think he just knows that Canelo's not that interested in fighting him until he just adds more miles and more days to his life, right? Callum Smith has kind of been in the same boat. He was kind of like, okay, what, Canelo's not going to fight me, I'll go up. He's like, okay, now I might as well just wait, because if Canelo comes up, I'll fight him. So I think the problem is, and this is what you're seeing, is that Canelo and Golden Boy thought they were going to go to DAZN and call all the shots, and that's not happening at all. And this is what happens when I think Canelo's, we all know he's a great fighter and all that, but I think his ego has just been so big that he's been surrounded by yes men. No one's ever told him no. Even with Golden Boy, and when he was there, they kind of called the shots with HBO. They pretty much called the shots with everything. And you come into DAZN where, you're obviously a big fish, but DAZN doesn't just have boxing. DAZN is has billions and billions of dollars, managed by the guy who used to run ESPN. And their standards are just not acceptable for you to fight a B-level fighter. I don't think John Skipper was thrilled with how the Jacobs fight went. He thought it would probably be more entertaining. And, where Canelo was probably looking at maybe some B-level fighters as a return, and they're saying, no, we approved either Golovkin or fine. If you want to go up and fight Kovalev, we'll figure out how to make that. And the funny thing is, I don't think it's an issue with DAZN and Top Rank or an ESPN in terms of how they would stream the fight and all that. I think there's ways around that. I'm sure they can make it a one-off pay-per-view for DAZN subscribers or something, right? But I think it comes down to Canelo's realizing and Golden Boy's realizing that they don't have as much power as they thought they did when they entered this huge DAZN contract. And maybe it's just a little, maybe it's naive of them because they thought, we're getting 25 to 30 million a fight. We can fight whoever we want. That's not the case here. So it's weird to see how many guys are held up by it, but I think you're seeing slowly that Canelo's hands are getting tied now because I'm not saying he hasn't fought elite competition, but there were certain fights that just didn't belong, right? The Khan fight didn't belong. The Chavez Jr. fight didn't belong. Smith is a solid fighter, but I'd say, especially when we're waiting for the Golovkin fight at that time, probably didn't belong. Even Rocky Fielding, that was his DAZN debut, definitely didn't belong. But I mean, it was a short turnaround and all that. So again, I think we're just seeing a shifting in power, and it's kind of, I think in some ways it's necessary because when the inmates run the asylum, which is what's happened to boxing in some ways, that's how we've had this, and we're seeing this in the NBA to some extent. When the athletes have more money. Is great for them, and they're deserving of it. But when they're calling their shots, that's what that's where we get a delay in fights and stuff sometimes. And I think with DAZN, I think their standard, their level of standard, are saying we're not going to accept a mediocre product. That's putting Canelo in against some B-level guy. That's not the way it works for us. We're putting on the best product available. They don't want to turn themselves into another PBC because when PBC started, that's how it looked, right? It looked like the elite were going to fight the elite, and it's kind of completely fallen on the wayside. So I think they're trying to avoid that, and the pressure's on Canelo to make a decision, frankly, because and no one's saying. The funny thing is, I think he'd be the favorite in at least 2 of the 4 fights, maybe anywhere between 2 or a lot of people think he'll beat Andre. A lot of people with size think he'll beat Errol Spence. A lot of people think he can outbox Kovalev. A lot of people think he's young enough to beat Golovkin. So it's not that he'll be outmatched in any of these fights. They've walked themselves into a corner because Golden Boy has been spitting out nonsense, saying that we'll fight Errol Spence, we'll fight this guy, we'll fight this guy. And DAZN is saying, okay, who are you fighting? And we don't have an answer yet. So they've backed themselves into a corner, and it's actually a funny analogy because Canelo's never fought really well out of a corner, has he? So they got to pick an opponent so we actually get a fight happening because usually for his September fight, it's kind of decided in June, right? We're now about 2 months away, which is just, I mean, it's plenty of time, obviously, for training camp and all that, but it seems soon, doesn't it? It seems too soon to make a fight. Yeah. And that's what's surprising here, because again, some guys already have fights booked, and some guys are just not going to wait, right? Kovalev, I don't think at this point is going to wait. Callum Smith doesn't seem like a guy who's planning on waiting. So Canelo's really backed himself into a corner here.
John, do you have any feel at all for, if you were a bookmaker right now, who would you think Canelo's going to fight next?
Well, I think what happened too that Riz alluded to a little bit is that DAZN figured that, and this is why they signed Golovkin, that the third fight was going to happen between them, and that's the whole deal. And Canelo was balking at that, and as we know, we all have theories on that, and I agree with Riz. I just don't think he wants to fight him again. A story came out earlier in the week where he said he's still mad at him for some of the comments he made. Oh, blah blah blah. Come on, man. Yeah. I mean, Golovkin was frustrated. He's known him a long time. He knows he's a good guy. And that frustrated me when I read that, because I thought, Golovkin is the one who's really getting screwed here. And he doesn't even have a smile on his face. I mean, this it's just distasteful what's happening to Golovkin, because this is a guy that dominated the division, as we know, and he had people waiting until he got older, and they're still waiting until he gets older. And it's just dead wrong, and he has no power. I mean, he has a good deal with DAZN. You know that he signed that deal with DAZN to get the third fight. He wants the third fight, and he's been pretty much pushed out. So I think the chances of that fight happening are very slim. I think it's possible that he might fight Andre. I do. I'm not a good gambler or a bookie guy, Dennis, but I think it's just because Andre said okay. And the thing is that everybody in the Golden Boy camp knows that those kind of fights, that kind of style is dangerous for Canelo, because we know what happened with Lara. Now, getting a decision over Canelo is another story, maybe another show. It doesn't seem like anybody can get one. I actually did think that he edged Lara in that fight more based on aggressiveness and body punching, as I remember. But a draw was probably better. But as we saw in the Golovkin fight, it seems like for whatever reason, maybe because he's the main money maker, people don't want to judge against him. I don't know. But that might happen. But Riz made a good point. He is putting himself in the corner. And Riz said that Canelo's ego is, I think he's like a child that hasn't been told no since he was God knows how old. You're saying, remember years ago, well, I want to catch weight. I want to do this. I want to fight at 155. Everybody said yes. So that's the point. Nobody said, no, that isn't right, Canelo. You shouldn't be determining the weight. But you can make so much money when you fight him. The other guys, there's a guy who's going to jump in and say, okay, I'll fight him at 155. So, of course he's going to make demands, because same thing. Nobody says no. It's like a bratty child, he's been enabled. So here he is now, and his mind-changing or whatever has shocked DAZN, I think, in a sense, that he's reluctant to fight Golovkin. So he's he's backing himself in a corner where they're going to probably tell him, look, you got to fight this guy. So I guess I would say Andre, but Billy Joe Saunders. Oh, we're going to talk about him in a minute. Billy Joe Saunders made a little news this week. I know we're going to talk about him, but
yeah, that's next.
I don't think Callum Smith is a good matchup for Canelo. He's so much bigger and most likely stronger. I know it sounds crazy with Canelo, but you can't use the Rocky Fielding fight as a template because, as we saw, Rocky couldn't take anything to the body, especially from Canelo, and that's the way we probably fight him again. But Callum Smith is a totally different animal. I mean, he took some wicked shots from George Groves and just kept coming and kept punching, and he's obviously the best of the Smiths and a really good fighter and probably underrated. So I don't really think they want that fight. They can talk all they want. I do believe they want the Kovalev fight, but that one's out. So I guess the offer that they gave to Kovalev was a joke, according to what I heard. So that leaves them with Andre. Now,
Munguia.
And they won't be excited. They won't be excited about that because Andre's a boxer, and again, that's going to be tough. And Canelo will have to be very aggressive, and I don't know. Andre might be. A lot of people might not like his style. A lot of people might not like his attitude. He fights ugly fights, whatever you want to say, but he wins, and he has not really been pushed, and he is a good fighter. So I'm sure that over at Golden Boy in Los Angeles, they're sitting there going, "Oh man, I don't like our options here," especially since Canelo said no Golovkin. Now I'm assuming that just because Golovkin's nowhere in the picture, but I think even Golden Boy figured that they were going to fight Golovkin again, and then Golovkin threw a monkey wrench in it in a sense when he said, "Look, I don't want to fight him again in Vegas." Maybe they just assumed that Golovkin would go along with whatever they said, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to fight him in Vegas. Let's fight at Madison Square Garden.
Right.
You know? So, yeah, that's my feel, but I wish we had Travis here. He might have some inside information about that, but I kind of think that might be it, but I could obviously be wrong, and I won't be surprised. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll make a change, and Canelo will have to accept Golovkin just because that was part of the deal. But I don't think I don't think it said in the contract you must fight Gennady Golovkin and you get that $365 million contract. I don't think that's part of it. Again, I think they just figured that he said yes, yeah, okay. He said to them, "Oh yeah, I'll probably fight him." He said probably. But now he's saying, "No, I don't want to fight him," and it's leaving a lot of them. And fighters scratching their heads.
Yeah, and you know, guys, you wonder who Canelo does want to fight. I mean, who's the best option for him right now? Who's the safest option? Who's Oscar looking at, Riz? What do you think? Who's the safest guy on that big long list? Munguia, maybe?
Munguia is definitely the safest option. An in-house guy, entertaining, fan-friendly, will sell out. All Mexican fight that doesn't really need much marketing behind it, he's coming up in weight, and especially because you saw in his last two fights, an entertaining guy who's severely flawed but very fun.
Yeah.
I said a couple years ago, he reminds me of Fernando Vargas in so many ways. Maybe not so much technically wise, but fan friendly, entertaining, and his career just could be a massive rock star roller coaster. It's not going to be a 15-year career, I don't think. It's going to be a 7 to 8 year insane up and down career because he's got to start so young. But obviously he's not as refined as someone like Canelo. But again, it doesn't seem like DAZN is on board to really accepting that as a legitimate fight. So after that, funny enough, I think Golovkin is actually the safest option. Because I don't think Golovkin, and I said this back at the Cal Brook fight, I didn't think he looked great there against Jacobs, and obviously he was stepping up in competition too, but I saw a slight decline, and I've seen that slight decline in each fight since. He's still a great fighter. He still has power. He still has, boxing IQ, but you're not seeing a 50% decline, obviously. But when you're seeing 1% and 2% over course of 5 fights, that 10% at this level of boxing is completely different, right? I mean, you're not a shell of yourself. You can still beat 90% of fighters, but when it comes to elite guys, it's going to look a little different. I think that's what we're kind of seeing right now. So I think that's, funny enough, kind of the safest fight. But I don't think it's an easy fight. I think Canelo wins, even though I don't think he won the first two. And it's just more, he's still younger. Golovkin's still older. And it just makes Golovkin's life a lot harder. But I think, if you're not going to beat Golovkin and have an easy fight, I don't think that's ever going to happen, really. So he's still going to take a lot of shots and stuff to do it. And, I think that's why he kind of wants a different style, so to speak. But I don't think Errol Spence is an easy fight despite, his size advantage. Errol Spence used to come in a lot heavier. If you look at Errol Spence's earlier fights, he wasn't fighting at welterweight. He was fighting at low 150s a lot. So he packs on some size, and he's a southpaw, and he's obviously just a tremendous skilled fighter. But again, Canelo's running out of options, and the whole point of going to DAZN was to have quality options, and he's trying to get away from those quality options. So there's clearly a power struggle going on here, and honestly, you can't bite the hand that feeds you, because number one, there's a court of public opinion, but that can still, people are still going to end up watching Canelo no matter who he fights. But that being said, when DAZN is not happy about putting on that product, they have an issue with it, because I think what you're seeing is they want a standard of boxing that other networks don't have. They don't want to be the exact same. They want to be separate, because they understand that there's a lot of fighters who want big fights and are unable to get it, and they're going to.
Oh, Riz, did we lose you? I think we lost you, buddy. Better give us a call back. Okay, John, meanwhile, you just mentioned Billy Joe Saunders, and he called out Golovkin, said he's willing to fight him in Kazakhstan, which is GGG's home. That's pretty bold of him. But Saunders has been a guy on an island in this sport. He put himself on everybody's radar when he won that split decision over Chris Eubank way back in 2014. That was 5 years ago. And since then, the biggest names on his record are Andy Lee, who he fought in 2015, Willie Monroe Jr., and David Lemieux. Both those guys were in 2017. How much of this do you think we can attribute to a lack of ambition on Sanders' part, and how much comes down to Sanders really being a high-risk and low-reward proposition for the top guys? He's being ducked.
It's all of the above. Billy Joe Saunders is incredibly talented, but he's also incredibly stupid and self-destructive, and he's been his own worst enemy, to be blunt. I mean, things that he said, things that he's done, and then when he gets out of camp, he gains all kinds of weight. He just doesn't have that single-mindedness that the great fighters have, the focus to not go away and gain 40 pounds and I mean, it could be done. Roberto Duran used to do that, but Roberto Duran obviously was elite. Billy Joe is a really good fighter, but it's his style that would cause nightmares for anyone that he fights, including Canelo, including obviously Golovkin. You notice that Golovkin didn't say anything about that yet. Golovkin doesn't say much. Tom Loeffler didn't say anything. They discussed it. Kazakhstan would give Golovkin the home field advantage, obviously, but the guy, Billy Joe, is just a pain in the rear end to fight. He's a pain in the rear end to deal with. So he was trying to make news, and he did it. And I think he's working with Tyson Fury's trainer now, which I think helps him, keeps him a little bit more focused. He didn't look like he gained too much weight when I saw that picture, so that's good. But he's just trying to stay in the mix. So you can't blame him there. But yeah, his career has been pretty strange, because when he beat Eubank Jr., he seemed like he was going to be the big star, and then he beat Andy Lee, and that was a good fight. And he didn't dominate Andy Lee, knocked him down. That was really the only reason he won. I mean, it was a good fight. It's a very competitive fight. But he does this to himself. He gets sidelined, and then the whole thing with he was going to fight Andre, remember, and then that fell through with his drug getting busted for some type of drug that I don't know. So he's an enigma in some ways. He's a self-destructive enigma. Like I said, he does things that you just roll your eyes and shake your head and go, what is he thinking here? And he's not thinking, obviously. I mean, I think guys like him get it in their brains that this whole thing that they're doing right now, this boxing career, is going to last for a lot longer than it is. Somebody should remind him, look, bud, I mean, you're doing good right now and you're making really good money, but 5 years from now, you're probably not going to be making anything, especially close to what you're making right now. So you got to think about that and make a decision on what you want to do here and get yourself refocused. But like I said, he's his own worst enemy. I mean, if I'm Golovkin, I'm thinking about it. What I'm not liking, of course, is the style matchup. He knows about Billy Joe Saunders. Everybody knows about him. So that that comment you made earlier about not necessarily ducking him, but people know that if you fight him, look what he did to David Lemieux. I mean, Lemieux was talking about putting him in a casket before the fight. He didn't even lay a glove on him. He might have hit him twice, and I'm joking. He hit him more than that, but it wasn't even competitive. It wasn't close. Golovkin beat Lemieux badly too, but Saunders beat him worse in Canada. So Billy Joe is a nightmare for a lot of people. He's probably a nightmare for his promoter, but if he gets himself ready and is in shape, he's problems for all the top guys, Canelo included. That fight would be hell for Canelo. So it's going to be intriguing to see what Golovkin's team says. They might not say anything. Silence speaks volumes. So we'll see. But yeah, that guy is one of those fighters that you just don't know what's going to happen with him next.
This is the Ringside Boxing Show from Monterey, California. I'm Dennis Taylor. We're talking to our expert analyst, John J. Raspanti, and Rizwaan Zahid. Riz, are you back with us?
I am, yes.
Okay, good, cool. All right. So, while we're talking about the UK, Luke Campbell is going to fight Vasyl Lomachenko. He's been talking about this matchup with a lot of confidence, as fighters do. A lot of people on our side of the Atlantic know Lomachenko, of course, but they aren't that familiar with Luke Campbell, who's a British southpaw, 31 years old, 20-2 record, 16 knockouts. Both of Luke Campbell's losses were split decisions. The first one came in 2015 to Ivan Mendy, and the other one was Jorge Linares in 2017. That one was for the WBA lightweight title. Is Campbell any kind of legitimate threat to Lomachenko, who all of us think of as probably the most skilled fighter in the world? Does he have any shot at all in this?
I think he does. He's a very underrated fighter, that's for sure. I mean, we look at guys with record like 20-2. He's not that. Then you got to dive into the details a little more. Very well could be undefeated. Clearly has some power, has range, and again, like you said, both of the losses were split decisions. He got knocked down against Linares in the second round, which pretty much changed the course of the fight. He got knocked down against Mendy, also changed pretty much the course of the fight. But you take those away, and he very well could be undefeated. And by the way, he did avenge his Mendy loss last year. That being said, I think the biggest advantage he has, and this advantage that Linares had against Lomachenko, is his range. He's 5'9", where guys who fight Lomachenko tend to be at least somewhat closer to his height. But Linares had that huge advantage against Lomachenko with that height and reach. Campbell had those same advantages. That being said, we know how great Lomachenko is. We know how when he puts his punches together, it's really hard to beat him. Campbell's been dropped in each of those losses, and I think he'll make it competitive just because I think he's a damn good fighter. But Lomachenko, we know the greatness of Lomachenko, and I think the funny thing is, usually a fight like this, you would look at it and think this has the possibility.
Crap, Riz, we just lost you again, man. We just lost you again.
Jeez.
What do you think about that, John?
Well, yeah, I was listening very intently to Riz because I agree. I really like Luke Campbell. I've followed him from the beginning. He's a very talented fighter. I don't know if he's gotten the respect he deserves. He can box, he can punch a little, and he's got 16 knockouts, 20 victories. I like his confidence. Obviously, he has to think that way. I mean, I'm sure that was no surprise what he said. He has to think he can win. If he doesn't think he can win, there would be no point of him even fighting. He's probably going to make the most money he's ever made in his career. So I get it. There are a ton of pluses. Plus, if he loses, that's certainly not a bad thing to lose to Lomachenko. But he's not thinking that way. But what I like about him, Dennis, is when I've seen him fight, and all fighters have a boatload of pride, but he seems like he even has more, because when he was fighting Linares, he was getting his butt whipped pretty badly. But he dug down. And he really started to press and push and be more of a slugger in that fight. And I think Linares was surprised, because he came on the last 3 rounds to make that fight close. I think he swept the last 3 or 1-2, if I remember. But I don't think Linares expected that. So he will give Lomachenko everything he's got, plus some, like they all do. But I think since he's a little better, a little more talented, he's got a little more in his game, a little more variety, versatility. That will be a little bit of a more challenge for Lomachenko. And Lomo is just so damn good, and he figures guys out, and he'll do his thing. But Campbell's taller, and he's got a little bit of a reach. So I don't think it's going to be like Lomo's last fight with Anthony Crolla, where he just stalked, rocked, and dropped. That was a very impressive performance, as we know. I think it's going to be more challenging, and he better come in his A game, because, like I said, Campbell could surprise. He's got a chance. He does. Not a great one, but he definitely has a chance. If you compare opponents, like we were saying with Linares, I mean, remember, Lomo was really in a tough fight with Linares when he stopped him. I think it was tied on one scorecard, and maybe behind or close, or maybe ahead by 1 point. In other words, it was really close. So you think about that, you think, okay, so yeah, Campbell will bring it all, and he'll do his best, and you never know in boxing. I mean, that's what makes boxing so wonderful. You never know, but obviously Lomachenko is a big-time favorite.
I think Riz gave up on the Canadian cell towers. He didn't come back here. So, John, what do you make of the fact that Manny Pacquiao is now the betting favorite to beat Keith Thurman?
Oh man, that is so fascinating. I think it's more based on Keith. I think there's just this thought that Keith is not Keith, and then all the videos coming out of Manny's camp, all the confidence from Freddie Roach, all the yakking, all that, and then the pictures of Manny looking so ripped and saying, oh yeah, he's talking, I'm going to show him, and I think that's really got in the bettor's brains. I still give Thurman the edge a little bit. I still think Thurman's going to win that fight, very close, but obviously I won't be surprised if Manny wins it. Because I'm going on his last 2 performances. I mean, he looked good. Manny Pacquiao looked good. Broner is Broner, but he's not as fast as he was. Obviously, he was incredibly fast. He fights in a more methodical way now than he used to. And when we had Keith Thurman on, he made a good point. He talked about Jeff Horn. So that tells you that in Keith Thurman's mind, he's thinking, look, I'm a bigger guy. I'm a younger guy. I'm a stronger guy. So Keith is not real physical, though, as we know, but maybe he might try to wrestle him a little bit or throw him around. Keith Thurman is thinking a lot about this, like he always does.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's really interesting. But he's just a very, very slight favorite, Dennis. I mean, you're talking just a few dollars. So if that starts to get wider, that could mean something. And I hate to say this, because I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. The fact that VADA isn't involved, all that chatter online, social media, of course, about, well, VADA is involved. So all the rumors about Pacquiao for years about steroids, the fact that he looks cut. And he looked cut against Broner and stuff. I don't like throwing that at him, because I don't think that's fair, because I don't like accusations that can't be proven. Show me some proof before you're throwing accusations at somebody. But I do think that is in the back of the bettors or the odds makers' minds. We're just human. We know the whole story of Manny Pacquiao, and that there was so much talk about it. Remember what Paulie Malignaggi just came right out and said it. So I think all those factors are in play, but I think the biggest thing is that the bettors are thinking that they always say that all the great fighters have one really, really good one left. And I think they believe that Pacquiao is prepped and ready for that one last really good fight. Thurman has gone down a little bit, and they're thinking about the Josecito Lopez fight where he did not look good, as we know, which he acknowledged. And they're thinking that, well, Pacquiao's going to win this fight.
Man, your VADA point is just a great one, and that is so suspicious to me that why not? Why the hell is VADA not testing these guys? And I don't get why Thurman didn't make a huge stink out of it.
Me too.
And insist on it. That's really incredible. The other factor I think is that it's kind of like the Democratic primary. Biden and Bernie were the guys everybody knew, and that's. And Pacquiao is the most popular fighter on the planet. All the Filipino money is going to be on him.
Yes.
So I think that has a huge factor too. I think when these guys, these writers start coming out with their interviews of the boxing oracles and who they pick, it's going to be more heavily weighted toward Thurman than Pacquiao. Hey, you and I were talking off the air before we came on today. Tyson Fury just announced that the Wilder rematch has been finalized for February 22. You pointed out that Tyson Fury signed the contract. They didn't say anything about Wilder. And the venue is still TBA, but Fury seems to have fallen in love with fighting in the USA, and he's also said in the past that he doesn't plan on fighting in the UK ever again. I don't know what he's got against his own country, but I guess they weren't kind to him during his 3-year layoff. So I'm guessing New York or Vegas is probably solid guesses there. Do you get the impression that Fury is a lot more excited for this rematch than Wilder is, and maybe even more confident? Do you think that Deontay might be a worried man about this rematch?
I don't know if I'd use the word worried, but he's realistic. He knows what he faced. I mean, he could be telling himself, look, I knocked the bloke down twice, and that's why I should have got the decision, which, of course, none of us agree with. I think Fury won that fight. Wilder did knock him down. He looked like he knocked him down permanently in the 12th round, but as we know, we've discussed it a million times, Fury got up. He showed a massive heart, and he got up. I think what we were talking about off air is a very good point, that Fury is saying to himself, look, I'm going to be better this time, and he's not. I know what to expect. I've been active. I haven't been. He says it. I've been active. I haven't been drinking alcohol for the last few years, doing other things with my body, gaining over 100 pounds. God, he was close to 400 pounds, Dennis.
Yeah. Yep.
So I mean, that's incredible that he's never obviously going to be a body beautiful guy, and he wasn't before before he started self-destructing, but. He is just a befuddling kind of guy to fight, and with Wilder's flaws, it's always going to be hard for Wilder. If he just thinks that he's just going to follow Fury around and try to land a bomb, that's foolish, because he might. Again, it's possible. But if I'm Wilder, I'm thinking, okay, I know what to expect too. So I'm going to try to do something different this time. He's expecting this. I'm going to try to do few things different, but you're 41-0 with 40 knockouts. Obviously, it's working for you, but a little tweaking isn't going to hurt. So I think the mental part of this fight is really going to be interesting in camp. What are we going to do? Fury's just thinking, well, I got to just do what I did last time, just not get caught. Not fight on the inside and get pushed into the ropes as much, and that's where he got me the other two. When he knocked me down twice, I was against the ropes. Or near the ropes. He was in the middle of the ring, actually, when he got pulverized the second time. But, I actually think you're onto something. I think Fury is extremely confident. Ortiz is also thinking about Wilder is thinking about that rematch with Ortiz. I jumped ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Which he should win. But anybody that knows boxing, and maybe not even everybody, or everybody and anybody, remembers that Wilder was in a heap of trouble against Ortiz the first fight. I mean, really in trouble. He was staggering. Some people say that he got some breaks, that he got extra time to recover. He was hurt, so he can't go in there with that fight overconfident. He has to take care of business. Now, I saw Ortiz fight his last fight, and he looks good, and I don't know if he's 42 or 52, but he's somewhere in between there. But he still can fight. But he also got hit with a lot of shots that I don't think he would have got hit with before. So that will undoubtedly empower Wilder. I think Wilder's probably going to stop him again even earlier. But he's got to beat him first. So and speaking of Wilder has to win that fight to get Fury again. So he knows where he took him. So he's got to be smart about that. But, yeah, no, back to what you said, I think Fury is incredibly confident. I think he thinks I took his best shot. Yeah, he knocked me down, but I got up. I even stunned him in the 12th round, wobbled him a little bit. So, as he said in that statement, I'm going to knock him out this time. So I wouldn't underestimate Fury. As I said, he's a great promoter for the fight. He's already starting. Interesting to see who he's going to fight next. I would think he's going to fight one more time before that. But he's already laying the groundwork. He's already trying to get into Wilder's head a little bit. And we all want that fight. So, but yeah, I think Fury is feeling like I got this guy's number. I can win 8-9 rounds against this guy with one hand behind my back. I think that's what he's thinking, as long as I don't get caught. But and he's got a point, because he's got that style. You know, he's got the kind of style, Dennis, that he would drive everybody nuts. And we're talking about the greats. You know, we're talking about Muhammad Ali, who I wouldn't even put in the same sentence with Tyson Fury. But that size, that range, that quickness for such a big man, he would have made it tough for anybody. Can you imagine Joe Frazier fighting Tyson Fury?
Right.
Frazier would have been like, my God, you know, there's a tower guy up there. And look what George Foreman did. Now, that's obviously different styles, but he is a tough guy to fight. And so he's a confident guy, and he should be, based on what he's done. And he's really dedicated again. So, yeah, I think he's feeling like I'm going to win this, and this time they won't take it away from me.
Yeah, and you know what? Wilder is not slick, and he's not refined.
Nope.
He's a slugger. So yeah, man, I'm leaning pretty heavily, I think, toward Tyson Fury to win that rematch.
Yeah.
So, okay, hey, you and I have BoMac, Brian McIntyre, coming up next. People ought to be excited about that, because this is a good interview, isn't it?
It is. I hope a lot of people listen, because, yeah, like you said in the introduction, if people want a little inside information about Terence Crawford, but not only that, Dennis, when we were talking to him, what I was really, really fascinated about was the whole story of the gym and how it came about and everything BoMac has done. I mean, this is a guy that nothing was given to this guy. I mean, I was telling my lady about the story about how his brother was the boxer and he came home with the jacket, and then he wanted to be involved in that. I mean, that's a great story, you know, and that's again why boxing is so incredible and so important in the poorer parts of the country, because it gives these guys a chance to do something, and he tells it like it is. I mean, he as you said, you know, Midwestern guy, they tell it like it is. I mean, gritty, hard, raw. You get it in this interview. So I really hope that a lot of people listen to it. And BoMac is just a fabulous guy and a heck of a commentator.
Great personality.
Exactly, a heck of a commentator on Top Rank. So I hope everybody listens, because he's just great fun, you know, and funny and serious and informative, and with stuff that I have never heard, and so yeah, I think people are going to enjoy this one.
That's coming up next. That's John J. Raspanti. Rizwaan Zahid was with us earlier. Travis Hartman couldn't make it today. These guys are our boxing oracles, our expert analysts, and they rock. Thank you, John. We'll talk to you in a minute with BoMac.
Yeah, take care.
All right, and we'll be right back right after this.
Hi, I'm Dennis Taylor, host of the Ringside Boxing Show, where since 2008 we have been continuously sponsored by Garcia Boxing, the first family of the Sweet Science, on California's beautiful Central Coast. Trainers Max and Sam Garcia and ring strategist Dean Familton are regarded among the most knowledgeable in the game. And Kathy Garcia, who manages all Garcia boxing fighters, is renowned for her integrity and career guidance, having taken 2 boxers to #1 world rankings. Together they comprise one of the most respected teams in the sport. Learn more by calling 831-261-3214 or send them an email at garciaboxing25@aol.com.
This is tremendous, Don, just tremendous. The atmosphere heavy, uncertain, overtones of ugliness. A reminder in a way of how it was in March of 1964 at Miami Beach, when Clay met Liston for the first time and nobody was certain how it would turn out. The crowd is tense. They've been here since 10 this morning.
Welcome back to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor with John J. Raspanti, and today's featured guest has emerged as one of the top trainers in boxing since guiding undefeated Terence Crawford to championships in 3 weight divisions and a spot near the top of any credible pound-for-pound list you'll find. Brian McIntyre, BoMac, has a whole stable of talented young fighters at the B&B Sports Academy in Omaha, and he and Crawford also have a high-altitude training headquarters in Colorado Springs, my old stomping grounds, where Crawford recently purchased a house. And in January, he also was added to the top-ranked broadcast booth. BoMac, welcome to the Ringside Boxing Show. We wanted to have you on today to talk about not only some of your fighters, but also tell our listeners about what you guys have built there in North Omaha with your boxing academy. So thanks for making some time for us today. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Betcha.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so BoMac, tell us the story of B&B Sports Academy. Your website says the gym opened in 2013, but it seems like that was just kind of the culmination of a lifelong goal for you. You grew up in that neighborhood and saw this boxing school, I think, as a way to help kids make better choices in their lives. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, it's accurate. Yeah, I definitely did grow up in that neighborhood from 1978 up until now. I started fighting at CW boxing gym, and at the gym that gym used to be in the same neighborhood, but then as time went on, he kind of moved it to different places in the city of Omaha, and then he moved it downtown. And then once he moved it, I could see the gym kind of going downhill because we lost connection with the community, we lost connection with the fighters. And then if you ever think about it, all the hungry fighters always come out the ghettos of the slums and of all the inner cities. And so I thought it was very important to, when we got back, once I got my opportunity to open up a gym, I thought it was very important to put it back in the community. And so far, so good. So everything's working out. And I'm happy about it to this day.
Omaha hasn't traditionally been a place that people thought of very quickly when it came to boxing history. We think of Vince Foster and Ron Stander, but the list of Omaha fighters, great Omaha fighters, isn't really a long one. What kind of impact has Bud Crawford had on that image, and how often is your phone ringing nowadays compared to what it used to be?
Well, I will correct you on that, man. We did have some great fighters. But the only thing that we didn't have was the guidance that they needed to get to that next level. We had a lot of national champions come out of that gym that I came up with. Then we had a couple more gyms, like it was called the Winning Corner. Then we had a gym called the 1140 Boxing Club. Those guys, man, way back when I was young, as Sammy Cribbs, Stanley Smith, just a whole slew of fighters, man. But they just never got the opportunity because nobody in Omaha ever took the time out to try to help them get to that next level. Now, we did have Mouse Strauss, and I'm sure the whole world knows who Mouse Strauss was. But then, for some reason, he only gravitated towards fighters like Dickie Ryan, other guys, a lot of other guys. But so that's why, those guys was considered the stepping stones to better your career. They was considered opponents. But those guys was good though. But Miles Strauss was the type of guy that, he just throw you in there with anybody. I think he's on record as being one of the fighters with 500-600 fights and things of that nature. But the guys that I came up with was guys like Billy Kellogg, Courtney Kellogg, Michael McNeil, which is Terence's uncle, Terence's dad. Fighters like that, man. Those fighters was good, man. I'm talking about it was good. They would go to the national. They would win. Matter of fact, Courtney Kellogg actually was, he had won. He was on the world team as a young kid, as a 16, 17-year-old kid. But when it's time for him to turn pro, the guy that had the CW Boxing Club, he had no knowledge about how to handle professionals. And so that's when guys start falling by the wayside. So you win a national tournament, and that was it. You come back to the neighborhood, you go back doing the same thing. But so when I finally turned pro, I didn't have no manager, no promoter. I just kind of relied on the trainers in the gym to try to help me out. And so at first it was going good. I was doing good. I was fighting good. Got to like 4 or 5-0. And then things started turning for the worse because, I started going in other people's backyard and fighting them guys. By that time, I always had the love for the sport, and it never was about money with me. It never wasn't about business. I just wanted to fight, And then, so as when I got to the end of my career, I always told myself, I'll never let those guys go through what my career went through, as far as professionals. So when I was fighting professional, I was training amateurs in the gym, just staying around, helping out, helping Midge out, holding the pads, So by that time, Midge was probably like 50 or maybe 60 or something, and, he wasn't able to hold the pads anymore for the younger kids. It's like, bro, stay around and help out. You ain't got nothing else to do anyway. Because I was going in the same direction with the other guys who was going. After I got done fighting, I just go back to the neighborhood and do the same thing. Go to work, mess around, gang bang, probably selling drugs, just doing stuff, I had no business doing. So I told myself, man, these kids deserve more than what they about to get themselves into. So I was like, I'm do whatever I can do to help these kids out. And it wasn't just only Terence. You had James Henley, you had Red Spikes, which is one of the guys in the corner with me. Then Zahid came along, and so I was like, I was dedicated to making sure these kids had something better to do after the amateurs. And then I always will preach to them kids, listen, it'd be better for me to try to sell you off to somebody if you had a great amateur career. I always spoke that to them. You got to have a great amateur career, because if not, I'm going to have to do what they did to me, just go and fight in everybody's backyard and so on and so on. So here we are today.
Yeah.
Brian, I was reading your website yesterday, and it occurred to me you probably have a lot of kids coming through there who have really lacked some leadership and discipline in their life, and it says building character is one of the real pillars of your mission statement on your website. How do you go about doing that for kids who walk through your door there at B&B Sports Academy? What kind of standards and rules do you set for them on day one? What kind of tough love do you give them?
Well, the first thing I do is, we develop a package to, I got to get all information from you, from your mom, your dad, what school you go to. We've got a set of rules that you got to follow by. And if you can't follow the rules, you got to, you won't be accepted, or you'll be asked to leave. And we have our professionals. One thing I ask them is just to just give back to the kids. I try to same remedy that what Miz did for me is, just help me with these kids, man. Show them that you care, be a role model to them. That they see you every day in the gym. They see you fighting on TV. They see you traveling all over the world, but still, stay in after you get done working out and hold the pass for them, talk to them. And we got a few professionals that in the packages where you got to fill out where school you go to, and every now and then we'll have a couple of those pros to check up on the kids, man, see how they doing. Show up at the school, talk to them, and just trying to make them feel like you're not out here by yourself. You're not only in boxing just because you want to be in the sport. You're in there to try to build character. You're in there trying to build self-respect and discipline for yourself. And we just recently hired a executive director for the gym, and to try to implement our plan a little bit more because, as y'all know, I'm always traveling, I'm always on the road, and I can't watch every corner of the gym and every aspect of the business part. So I figured, well, I better get somebody in here that can, continue to push my brand and the gym and the academy in the right direction. Because, when you're going a lot, things can tend to slip. And I won't have that, man, because I've seen that happen to the gym that I grew up with. When he got into different things, aspects of whatever he was doing, like gang violence, trying to help the community out, the boxing part started to slip. So that's how we lost a lot of fighters. So I'm always watching whatever I do as the owner of the gym, as a trainer, as a manager, to make sure that I don't miss nothing that can hinder a fighter or let a fighter slip away into darkness or feel like that he's not being cared for or listened to or attended to. So that's why I brought people on board to to help me in those aspects of the gym. So to make sure that every kid that walks through that door or every fighter that wants to be under that brand of B&B can be well attended to, so they can feel like, okay, my life is going in the right direction. And when it's your time to come up, because everybody will get their shot, that you have all aspects of your game covered. So that's how I look at it.
Brian, describe the streets where you grew up.
First of all, they ragged me as shit, man. You know what I'm saying? We got a street over there by the gym, man, in the neighborhood around where where Terrence's mom house is at, where the old gym is at. It's just raggedy. It just feels like it's not getting any type of maintenance on it from the city. But the streets, man, they rough out there, man. It's rough. It's rough for a kid. I mean, from the walk to the store from the store to the post office, from the post office to the candy store. It's rough, man, because gangs out there, man. You got kids out there who probably want to jump on you or something like that. To me, yeah, that's ordinary. It's ordinary to see that. Because I grew up in it. But I don't want a kid to go through that. So that's why I put the gym right smack dead in the hood, as they say, the ghetto, right smack dead in the middle. Our neighborhood, our community is based off 4 miles, 4 miles wide, 4 miles length, and the gym is right smack in the middle. So any fighter or any kid that wants to come to the gym, it's in walking distance. If you got to walk a half a mile or a mile or a mile and a half, it's right in the middle.
I see. Were you a street fighter before you became an amateur boxer, Brian?
No, hell no, man. Shit, no. I was a boxer. I was a boxer when I was 8, and I couldn't go out the yard. I couldn't go out the yard, man, because the gym was down the hill. The gym was a block away. Probably I'd probably say about 12 or 14 houses away from my house on top of the hill. And I would always see kids just gathering down there. Man, what they doing down there? I'm looking for my yard. What they doing down there? Don't you take your ass out that yard? I hear my mama say that. You take your ass out that yard. What they doing every day? I always look down the street. Then when I go to school, I see the kids wearing boxing jackets. So I just told myself, man, I want to box, man. I want to box because I seen the kids down there. I want to box. I seen them wearing the boxing jackets to the gym, to the school. This was like the first grade. I wanted to box because my brother used to come home late. My mom used to say, "Boy, why you keep coming in the house late?" Because I was at boxing practice. Oh, and then we get to the room. Where you box at? So me and my brother having this conversation, because we share rooms. Where you box at? I box down there for CW. Ooh, I want to go. Ooh. So like, ooh, what they say there? What they do there? Ooh, you should. Ooh, they got a ring down there. And I'm like, wow, I'm like a kid in the candy store, just like listening to my brother talk about this boxing practice, right? So finally, one day, man, I swear to God, I tell you right now, the chills all over my body. I walked in that basement. It was in the basement of a house. It was small as shit. I walked downstairs and I smelled that smell of a boxing gym. I was hooked. From that day on, man, I never missed a year out of the 40 years I've been in boxing. I've never missed a year of being in the gym. Now I missed some days, chasing behind a girl or something, or hanging out with the fellas or something like that. But I never missed a year. I never missed a year without fighting. So.
Wow. Jeez. So this is a tough question. When did you notice the drugs and guns changing the mood there, Brian? Or did those things already have a grip on your neighborhood by the time you came along?
As I could see it, man, it seemed like they always had a grip on our neighborhood, man. The inner city, man. It always was there, man. You see uncles, cousins, brother, friends, friends of the brothers, man. Just that's in the community, that's in the neighborhood, just kind of slip away. Even when I was a little kid, you see people walking around drunk, sleeping behind the store, sleeping on the post office lawn. It's always been there. And it's going to stay there.
This is the Ringside Boxing Show from Monterey, California. I'm Dennis Taylor with John J. Raspanti. We're talking to Brian McIntyre, BoMac, who's the trainer of Terence Crawford. Terence's bio says he started boxing at age 7. And you've mentioned CW Boxing Gym. What can you tell us about Carl Washington? He was the head of CW, right?
Right. That was CW stands for, Carl Washington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What kind of guy was he?
Man, Carl, I give him credit to this day because of who I am. Because that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with boxing is because of him. Because he just showed that he was just passionate with the fighters. If he was tough, he was tough. He wasn't that tough, man. He would kind of pacify you a little bit and make sure you get past that stage in life that you was going through, or to try to make sure you will get tough. Or if you weren't tough, he'll, try to toughen you up. And it was just all Carl Washington, always there, always been like a father figure to me, man. And when I say if it wasn't for him, to who I am this day, because that's how I am with fighters. Fighters. Some fighters, man, they just can't fight. You kind of pacify them a little bit, give them different jobs in the gym, or or can you handle this for me, or can you do this for me, or I need you to run the night fitness class for me, or can you go to the coaches meeting for me, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I know you can't fight, but I like having you around because you're good for the gym. You know what I'm saying? And one thing he did with me was I wasn't the greatest fighter. I wasn't the greatest fighter, but I wasn't the worst fighter. When I was a kid, I used to go like, I win 2 and lose 3. I win 3 and lose 1 or 2, or that's when I was young, like all the way up until I was like 17, 18. So when I hit that turn when we had a coach come in the gym, Midge Reiner, and he made me believe in myself. But up until then, it was just Carl, trying to train 40 kids with one person, or every now and then other coaches would come in and try to help out. And, by that time, do I listen to him, or do I listen to Carl, or, so, but that, what made me who I am today was how Carl handled me as a kid and looked out for me, because, like I said, I wasn't the greatest fighter when I was a young kid, little chubby kid, fighting 90 pounds at 10 years old. That means you chubby, young fella. You know what I'm saying? So you might you win 1, lose 2, or just back and forth. But just the way he would reward me as I would win, or I would do good in school. I get to go out of town, or you didn't win the state this year, but you're gonna win the next year. Then you're gonna be able to go to the regionals, or you win the regionals, or you'll win the state, you'll lose in the regionals. Then he'll try to make you look forward to the nationals. You get to go to the nationals next year. You just gotta do better, buddy. You know what I'm saying? But for right now, I'm gonna pick up the other boys that's going to the nationals. You want to ride with me? Yeah, coach. Yeah. Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So that just gravitated to me. He gravitated to me, and I gravitated to him, and so that's how I gravitate to fighters now.
What kind of impact do you think, Brian? What kind of impact do you think Carl Washington and Midge Minor had on Terence Crawford's development?
Oh man, wow, man, that's everything, man, everything. His mindset, his work ethic, how far he wants to get, and if it wasn't for Carl, because Bud lived behind Carl, or Carl lived behind Bud, and then how Midge kept Bud in the gym all the time, pick him up. You maybe watch film, or just go to the house and sit in the other room and just watch boxing all the time, and so I tip my hat off to those guys, because actually it was the same way, how Carl always was on Bud about when you gonna get in the gym, when you gonna start boxing, and then when Midge came around, when I think I was 17, I think I was 18, Midge came around, and then that's when I made that turn for a better fighter. And how he handled me, he handled Bud the same way, but in different ways, because Midge used to always tell me, man, you're better than what you really think you are. You better, bro. You're way better than that. You got to just calm down, just relax, and think about what you're doing in there. Because before it was just like, with Carl, it was like you gotta go in there, you gotta throw 100 punches. Go in there, he's talking about your mama. He just I think he went in your bag and looking for your wallet.
Oh, boy. Motivate.
But with Midge is like, okay, baby, listen now. And listen, I'll tell you, you got the best jab. You got the best jab in the business. You got to work that jab and push him backwards. Now, you got to think. When you start pushing him back, start throwing your combinations. And so I start understanding boxing more. So when it came Terence time, Carl wasn't training in the gym. It was just Midge. And Midge was saying, Bo, help me. And so I was saying, okay, I'll stay around and hold the pads. Okay, all right. Midge, all right now, bud, now, goddamn it, now, get your ass on that goddamn bag and you work that jab for goddamn 10 minutes. All I want is the jab. And you step around both ways. That's the magnitude that Midge had on Bud. I'm just listening to it, and then I'll just, come on, Bud. That jab was slow. It was slow. You like with that jab? No, just try to add on to what Midge had him doing. So, man, it just worked. It just worked for the best for Terence, man.
Bud. It sounds like Bud was kind of a handful when he was a little kid. Had a temper and got into trouble. Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Shit, yeah, man. He was one of those kids, man. He just walk in the gym and Midge would tell him to do something. Or no, he'll do his workout, but the whole time he do his workout, he's just playing all the goddamn time. Midge, get Bud. Bud, stop all that damn playing. Shut up, you ain't my daddy. I'm gonna fucking earn your daddy and now get your ass out to kill me. You know what I'm saying? Just messing with people. Yeah, Bud was the type of kid that somebody jumping rope when, like maybe one of the pros jumping rope. He's got that little rhythm going, got the earphones on. Bud run by and snatch the rope as behind him and run out the door. Man, where this little fucking kid come from and shit? Little fucking playing all that fucking playing and shit. You know what I'm saying? But he was just a kid. He was a kid. He just wanted to play. He didn't know no better. How quickly was it evident to you that Bud Crawford had a chance to be something special? How old was he?
Probably 12, 13.
Really? Wow.
Because Bud fought, like, he fought for a minute, and then he got out of the gym for probably a year or two. And then he came back. And then he lost like 3 or 4 fights. Then all of a sudden he just made this turn. He kept making this turn. He made the turn where he won like 6 in a row. And I remember saying this to myself, man, this kid always fucking losing, but he always in the gym. Come on, Bud, man, you can't lose this fight, man. What's wrong with you, man? You can't lose this fight, man. I'm gonna win it, Bo. I'm gonna win it. Then he made that turn. Then he look up. I'm like, dang, this kid in the Nationals. And then when he turned like 16, and I'm like, we looked up. We walked in the gym one day, and we didn't even know it had a fighter by the name that's Bernard Davis. And Bernard walked in the gym, and cause I think Bud was like 7 or 8, ranked 7th or 8th. That's after his like first year in the USA's. And then just one day, Bernard Davis walked in the gym and was like, Bud, do you know you rank number 1 now? The Bud was like, what? For real? And we put it up. It was number 1. And it wasn't something that we worked towards. It was because we worked every day in the gym, every single day in the gym, and go to these tournaments, and then come home, go to these tournaments, come home. We go to the tournament on Saturday, Sunday, come home Monday. We right back in the gym, just constantly working. He working going for a fight for the Nationals or something, or the regionals, and I'm training for a pro fight. So we just constantly work all the time, just constantly working. And then that kind of just snuck up on us, like, damn, dude, you're number 1. Oh, my fucking God. You know what I'm saying? So it just, like now, back then, it was just like we constantly working. Like now, it's just a way of life, man. It's a way of life. This is what we do every single day.
You know, when you were telling us about Bud, I was curious. You said he lost a few fights, he was gone for a year, and then he came back. Now, and then suddenly he made that turn. What happened? Did he get refocused? Was he a little older? Sometimes talent just rises? Was it everything? I mean, what was different when he came back a year later?
I think because he always will say, man, those guys that, you know, on a team, a team, like teammates didn't want it as he wanted to win. And so when he finally came back, man, they baseball, you know, guys wasn't hitting or running fast enough football, or, you know, or basketball, you know, got in trouble or something, and it's like, man, you know, he always wanted to do something. You know, he's a competitive kid. He's a competitive kid when he was little, and it was just when he finally came back to the gym, and he's like, man, I don't want to lose. I really don't want to lose. And so he just kept winning and winning and winning.
Interesting. Having a homegrown champion in your stable, you know, amateur or pro, it's got to be a game changer. How did things start changing for you guys as coaches or whatever when Bud started making headlines and winning titles?
I'll be totally honest with you, man. Nothing. Really? Nothing changed.
Wow.
Nothing. We just kept working and working and working and working and working and working. The titles start coming, and more bigger fights start coming. TV start coming, and still to this day, we have nothing changed. We still work the same way. The same way. I may add some things in there or take away some things, but there's nothing changed. The scenery changed, you know, because we go out to Colorado Springs, and we got first couple times stayed out there in the house, man, where flush the toilet, all this shit in the toilet, end up in the basement, man, and 3-4 rooms in the basement, and you wake up, man, shit floating on the floor, and I'm, what the fuck is that? Oh my God. Oh, dude, you can't get in touch with the dude that owned the house and fix shit, so we got to fix it, get our own plumber, and, you know, and it's like, dude took our money and ran, so we sitting in the house, damn near abandoned, and the doors don't lock.
Boy.
Crazy. But that's just the struggle that we went through, you know, to get to where we are now, you know. And then, you know, as fights got better and the money got better, and then, you know, training expenses got better, we start sending better places. But as far as the training, man, we still do the same thing. We train every day, every single day.
What's it like training a mile above sea level?
Oh man, that's it takes a minute for you to get adjusted to the altitude out there. I mean, even just walking from the car to the front door, man, it's crazy. You know, you'll run out of breath. If you laugh too hard, man, you'll fall out. You know, I think that happened to me. It happened to me one time, man. Me and Bud and one of the strict condition guys. We was laughing. I was just laughing hard. The next thing you know, I fell out. And they were like, I looked up. They're like, you are. I'm like, what are we talking about? They said, dude, you fell out. I'm like, oh, I did. So that's when you know that, you know, the air is thin up there.
Yeah. How about when Terence comes to the gym, Brian? When he comes there and he walks through the door, I've seen him interview, and I've seen him with his kids, and he just looks like a great dad. Does he interact with the kids in the gym when he's working or just on his off time? Talk to them about things. I'm sure they're totally in awe of him when he's there.
Oh yeah. There's times where Bud gotta. There's time when Bud gotta like open up the gym and train the kids for a couple of days. Like if we in camp, you know, with Jamel Herring or Steven Nelson, and they get ready for a big fight, we always train in Colorado Springs, you know. And Terence and the couple other coaches just back at home, and maybe the coach won't show up, and Terence got to man the gym that day. You know, something you got to do, and he's done it, and he'll continue to do it. So, I mean, it's good for the kids and it's good for him to keep him grounded.
Okay.
You got a bigger crowd at your gym since Terence became a world champion? You got more kids coming through the door?
Well, it's like this. Whenever you see the Rocky Bull back when I was younger, whenever Rocky came on, the movie Rocky came out, the gym used to be packed. But then after a couple of weeks, it'll thin out to the kids that really want to fight. If you got 20 kids there every day, them the kids that want to fight. But then after Terence fight, then you'll end up with 40, 50 kids. 40, 50 people in there. And then after a couple of weeks, it'll go back down to the regular 20, 22, 23. Out of 10 kids after Terence fight, you'll keep 1 or 2 of them. But then you'll still have that regular 20, 21, 22 kids there every day.
Talking to Brian McIntyre on the Ringside Boxing Show. Okay, so let's talk about the future for Terence here. All of his marquee fights are still ahead of him, it seems like. Errol Spence and Keith Thurman are undefeated. Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, 2 losses each. Manny Pacquiao still fighting at a pretty high level. Those seem like great options, but politics make matchmaking really difficult. What possibilities seem most likely for Terence right now?
The possibility, well, I've been in talk with Bob, and I think we came to an agreement that Campbell is going to be next for his mandatory defense. And then and we're constantly trying to talk to Errol Spence in that camp over there to try to make that fight happen beginning of next year. As far as they want to do it, they say they want to, but they have a buzz on where they stand at, and we're constantly knocking on the door. That just goes for all of them up there. Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, constantly knocking on the door, asking these guys do they want to fight. And they know the money's going to be good, but as far as where they stand at, they still, doing their thing is listening to Al or listening to the politics of boxing.
What do you expect to happen in Pacquiao-Thurman?
I'm thinking Thurman might take Oakland. Pacquiao, I've been kind of watching some videos of him, and I know he always comes in great shape. But this kid Thurman, man, he got good movement. And the thing about beating Pacquiao is your movement and your jab, and you got to catch his rhythm. And Thurman does have good feet, and he do got a good jab, and he'll burst in, burst out at any time. And I always thought that because it always was on the string that we're going to fight Pacquiao, but it just never happened. But in my mind, I always knew what I had to do as a trainer to try to get Terence ready for that fight.
You mentioned it, but you recently added Jamel Herring to your stable, and he's 20-2 at 10 KOs, Brian, and he won the WBO super featherweight title in May. What do you think about Jamel, and what's your focus with him?
Man, what I think about Jamel is he's one hell of a man. He has been through a lot of adversity in his life, and he always got the will and the drive to win. He always wanted, and I believe those 2 losses. I believe if he was fighting in the right weight class, I believe he would be 20-0 right now. But I mean, from what I got from different people and what I got from him is, I mean, he was just overlooked over at PBC or just not. Whoever was handling him over there wasn't really focused on it. And so when the first time he came over, and the first thing I said to him was, I mean, you got to go down to that class. Some guys are too big over there. They big up at 35, 40. You walking around here at 47. You should be fighting 30. I'm from 26, So I hooked him up with our nutritionist and our dietitian, and she got him on a eating regimen. And when he works out, so what we did first was we took a fight under 35 to slowly get him down there, not just jumping down to 30. So the first fight was like at 34, 33, 34, second fight at 32, 33, and then he fought for that title, that the USBA title at 30. So we were slowly working down there. And so with the nutritionist, she slowly got his body, weight down. Maybe eat certain things or, watch out for certain things not to eat, to do eat. So, I mean, it's a joy, man. It's a joy working with that kid, man. Because he's the type of fighter that when you come downstairs, you're ready to get up in the morning for your morning run, he's already sitting down there with his running shoes on, ready to go. Or at 5:30 in the morning, you hear him walking across the floor. He's a Marine, so he got that Marine walk to him. So you hear him walk across the kitchen floor to go in and check his weight. And so we automatically know who's walking across the floor because of the way he walks. That's his discipline. He's the type of fighter to come in, eat his food. He used to do a little studying because he goes to school online, and he's in the bed. Ain't no going out, messing around, running back and forth to the store. Nothing. That's not what Jamel. If Jamel needs something, he will get it done during the daytime. And at night. At night, it's time to rest. And well-disciplined fighter, man. So when he first came to camp, that's when I first met him. And Mike Stratford called me, and Bud was getting ready for Ndongo. And Jamel had that foot movement that Ndongo had, that bounce back and forth, dart in, dart out. And so, we used him, but he wasn't big enough. He wasn't strong enough. So I kept him in camp anyway. And so we just developed that good friendship, with the team, with the coaches, and then one thing led to another. Now he's with us.
I read that you've got a couple other pretty good unbeatens in your gym. Steven Nelson and Kevin Ventura. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Steven's 14-0, 11 knockouts, right? And he's 31.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kevin's a young guy, 22 years old. Lightweight, 10-0, 8 KOs. And both are Omaha guys, right? They're homegrown.
Yep, it sure is, man. So those are guys like. First with Steven actually started boxing in the Army, and how we hooked up with Steven is, him and Bud were childhood friends, and how we actually hooked up with him when Bud was getting ready to fight for, I forgot that kid's name, British Prescott. And so we was like, man, we need to go to a camp. And so Steve had came home a couple of times, and I was like, man, Steve, he live out in Colorado Springs. And so we just hooked up with Steve. Steve hooked us up with his Army coach, Coach Lev. And we just started going out there and started training out there. And, like, the first training camp was like 2 weeks. And then the next training camp was like 3 weeks. And so every time we had a week on. So until we got to fight Ricky Burns. And then we did like a whole 6 weeks out there. And so when Steve turned pro, he was like, it's only right. And I just feel comfortable just, working with y'all. Because he had other options, because he was a damn good amateur, man. He won the Golden Gloves, the USA, the PALs, Olympic alternate, and this is a kid that started boxing just recently. And then with Kevin Ventura, I always been knowing Kevin since he was a kid, but he fought for a different gym. And then just, he just came to me one day, or came to one of the Saul Villegas and asked Saul, can he help? So Saul asked me, and I was like, yeah, I'll help you, man. I said, but only thing with me is if I'm going to help you, I got to manage you and train you, because I got to keep all aspects of the fighter with me. Because if you manage a fighter and you have somebody else training, you don't know how he trains. you training a fighter, you work with a different manager, you don't know what the manager's doing. You know, so that's why I try to keep everything under house.
Mm. So in your gym, a little while ago you mentioned Terence Crawford was like 12 or 13 when you went, wow, this guy's definitely going places. Is there anybody in the gym of that 21 or 22 that's always there working that you're keeping an eye on, or maybe there's more than one that you're like, man, this kid or whatever age he is, 11, 12, 13, he's got some talent. I'm going to keep an eye on him. I like what I see.
We got this kid in the gym. He started with us, man. He started with us before we even opened B&B. We was training at different gyms, and it's his dad. His dad seen us one day and met us at the gym, and he was just like, man, can my son start training with you guys? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Shit, I don't care. His name Alan Pandora Angulo, and this kid is 15 now. This kid has won 3 national titles. He's won the Eastern Box Off, and he should be right now. He should be at least 2 or 3 in the rankings at 130 at 15 years old.
Okay.
And it's the nephew of Angulo.
Alfredo Angulo?
Yeah, that's his nephew, man. So boxing running his family.
Huh.
And so how his nephew is that's Angulo's his mom and Alan's mom and Angulo are sisters and brothers.
Ah. Huh, you call him little dog?
Every now and then he'll come to town and he'll train at the gym and it's cool, man. But the kid can fight his ass off, man. He ain't scared of nobody or nothing. That's what I like about him.
Nice.
Brian McIntyre trains Bud Crawford and Jamel Herring, among others. He's building some great things for the kids and people of Omaha, Nebraska. BoMac, keep up the great work. It's been a real pleasure talking to you today on the Ringside Boxing Show. Thanks so much for making some time for us today. It's real fun.
No worries, man. I appreciate y'all. Call me anytime.
You bet. Great. Thank you.
All right, we'll take you up on that. Thank you so much. BoMac, Brian McIntyre on the Ringside Boxing Show, everybody. Have a good one, Brian.
Take care.
All right. Hey, do you like this podcast? Do us a solid. Tell your friends about the Ringside Boxing Show. And put us on your social media. Help us grow. Also, if you haven't yet found the best site on the Internet for daily boxing news, you got something to do right now. We update RingsideBoxingShow.com every single day. And this is a place you're going to find all the best headlines and the best stories on a daily basis. The only place you probably need to visit all day long, RingsideBoxingShow.com. We want to thank our expert analyst, Travis Hartman, Rizwaan Zahid. Travis Hartman, who fought Terence Crawford a long time ago, by the way, as a pro. Rizwaan Zahid and John J. Raspanti for their weekly contribution to this show, as well as our terrific British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin. And, of course, another huge thanks to today's featured guest, Brian BoMac McIntyre, trainer of undefeated world welterweight champion Terence Crawford. And, of course, we want to thank all of you guys, Ringside Nation, for being a part of our worldwide audience again today. Keep your chin tucked. We'll talk to you next week on the Ringside Boxing Show.
Well, it's a great day for me to whoop somebody's ass. It's a bad day, so you better get off of my back. You might get cold cocked if you cross my path. 'Cause it's a great day for me to whoop somebody's ass.